You are carrying something that doesn't belong to you. Right now, in this very moment, you are holding on to thoughts, beliefs, and fears that are not yours to carry. They were handed to you by others, picked up along the way, and you've been lugging them around like heavy suitcases on a trip that was supposed to be light and free. The most powerful thing you can do right now is put those suitcases down. Stop carrying what was never meant to be yours. Stop living other people's dreams, other people's fears, other people's expectations. The freedom you seek, the peace you long for, the joy you deserve, it's all waiting for you on the other side of letting go. You see, most of us spend our entire lives trying to control things that were never ours to control in the first place. We worry about what people think of us, as if their thoughts somehow define our worth. We stress about outcomes that haven't happened yet, as if our anxiety could somehow change the future. We hold grudges against people who probably don't even remember what they did to us, as if our resentment could somehow hurt them more than it hurts us. This is the great illusion that keeps us trapped. We think we're in control, but we're actually being controlled by our need to control. We think we're protecting ourselves, but we're actually imprisoning ourselves. We think we're being realistic, but we're actually living in a fantasy world where we believe our thoughts about things are more real than the things themselves. But here's what I want you to understand today. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your past mistakes or your future worries. You are the awareness that observes all of these things. You are the consciousness that experiences life, not the experiences themselves. And when you truly understand this, everything changes. Think about a movie screen for a moment. A horror movie can be playing on that screen with all sorts of frightening images and sounds. But the screen itself is never damaged by what's being projected on it. The screen remains clean, untouched, and ready for whatever comes next. You are like that screen. All the dramas and traumas of your life are just movies being projected on the screen of your consciousness. But you, the real you, remain untouched by any of it. Most people identify with the movie instead of the screen. They think they are the horror movie or the love story or the action adventure that's currently playing in their lives. But you're not the movie. You're the screen. And once you realize this, you can watch any movie without being disturbed by it because you know it's just temporary images that will eventually fade away. This is what letting go really means. It doesn't mean you stop caring or that you become indifferent to life. It means you stop identifying with the temporary dramas and start identifying with the permanent awareness that watches them all. It means you stop trying to control the movies and start enjoying them for what they are. Temporary entertainment. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I have real problems. I have bills to pay, relationships to fix, health issues to deal with. I can't just let go of everything. And you're right. I'm not suggesting you become irresponsible or that you ignore your obligations. What I'm suggesting is that you change your relationship to these things. When you're watching a movie in a theater and a sad scene comes on, you might cry. But you don't run up to the screen trying to help the characters or change the story. You understand that it's just a movie, so you can be moved by it without being controlled by it. You can have an emotional response without losing yourself in the drama. This is how you can live your life. You can care about your problems without being consumed by them. You can work towards solutions without being attached to specific outcomes. You can love people without trying to control them. You can have goals without making your happiness dependent on achieving them. The key is remembering that you are the observer, not the observed. You are the thinker, not the thoughts. You are the experiencer, not the experiences. And from this place of awareness, you can respond to life instead of just reacting to it. Most of us spend our days reacting. Something happens and we automatically respond based on our past conditioning, our fears, our desires, our beliefs about how things should be. But when you step back into awareness, when you remember that you are the screen and not the movie, you create space between the stimulus and the response. In that space lies your freedom. In that space, you can choose. You can choose to respond with love instead of fear. You can choose to respond with understanding instead of judgment. You can choose to respond with peace instead of conflict. But you can only make these choices when you're not completely identified with the drama that's playing out. But this doesn't happen overnight. Most of us have been identifying with our thoughts and emotions for so long that it feels natural, even though it's actually the source of all our suffering. It's like wearing shoes that are too small for so many years that you forget what it feels like to walk comfortably. You think the pain is just part of life, when actually it's just part of wearing the wrong shoes. The wrong shoes, in this case, are the beliefs you've accepted about yourself and the world. Beliefs like, I'm not good enough, or life is hard, or I need other people's approval to be happy, or I have to achieve certain things to be worthy of love. These beliefs feel true because you've been wearing them for so long. But they're not true. They're just thoughts that you've been thinking repeatedly until they feel like facts. But here's something wonderful. Just as you can take off shoes that don't fit, you can let go of beliefs that don't serve you. Just as you can stop watching a movie that's disturbing you, you can stop identifying with thoughts that are causing you pain. Just as you can change the channel when you don't like what's on TV, you can change your focus when your mind is broadcasting programs that don't help you. The first step is simply noticing. Start paying attention to your thoughts without judging them. Don't try to change them or stop them. Just watch them, like you would watch clouds passing in the sky. Notice how they come and go all by themselves. Notice how you are always there, watching them. When you catch yourself thinking, I'm so stupid, or I'm not attractive enough, or I'll never be successful, don't fight these thoughts. Don't argue with them or try to replace them with positive thoughts. Just notice them and think, oh, there's that thought again, how interesting. Treat them like you would treat a song that's stuck in your head. Annoying, perhaps, but not particularly meaningful or true. The same thing applies to emotions. When you feel angry or sad or anxious, don't try to push these feelings away or judge yourself for having them. Just notice them. Oh, there's anger in my body right now. How interesting. There's sadness here. How curious. You can feel these emotions fully without believing that they define you or that they mean anything significant about you or your life. This is the practice of letting go. It's not about getting rid of thoughts and emotions. That's impossible and unnecessary. It's about changing your relationship to them. It's about remembering that you are the sky and thoughts and emotions are just weather patterns that pass through. When you really get this, when you really understand that you are not your thoughts or your emotions or your circumstances, something miraculous happens. You become free, free to respond instead of react, free to choose love over fear, free to be at peace regardless of what's happening around you. And from this place of freedom, you can actually be more effective in dealing with your challenges, not less. When you're not emotionally entangled in your problems, you can see them more clearly. When you're not attached to specific outcomes, you can be more creative in finding solutions. When you're not defending your ego, you can be more open to help and guidance from others. It's like the difference between swimming frantically against a strong current and floating calmly with it. When you're fighting the current, you exhaust yourself and make very little progress. But when you relax and float with the current, you conserve your energy and often find that it carries you to exactly where you need to go. Life has a current of its own. There's an intelligence at work in the universe that's far greater than your individual mind. Some people call it God, others call it the universe, the Tao, source, or simply life itself. Whatever you call it, there's a force that's constantly moving things toward balance, growth, and healing. When you let go of your need to control everything, you align yourself with this force. Instead of pushing against life, you start cooperating with it. Instead of trying to force things to happen according to your limited understanding, you allow life to unfold according to its infinite wisdom. This doesn't mean you become passive or that you stop setting goals or taking action. It means you hold your goals lightly. You work toward them without being attached to them. You take action without needing to control the results. You plant seeds and then trust the process of growth, rather than trying to pull the plants up to make them grow faster. Think about how a tree grows. It doesn't strain or struggle or worry about whether it's growing fast enough or in the right direction. It simply responds to the conditions around it, reaching toward the sun, extending its roots toward water, adapting to whatever weather comes its way. And because it's not fighting against its nature, it grows strong and beautiful. You can live the same way. You can stop fighting against your nature and start expressing it naturally. You can stop trying to be someone you think you should be and start being who you really are. You can stop chasing happiness and start recognizing the peace and joy that are already present within you. Because that's the ultimate truth that letting go reveals. Everything you're looking for outside yourself already exists inside you. The love you want from others, you can give to yourself. The approval you seek from the world, you can give to yourself. The peace you think will come when your problems are solved already exists in the part of you that's aware of your problem. You don't need to fix yourself because you were never broken. You don't need to improve yourself because you are already complete. You don't need to find yourself because you were never lost. You just need to stop believing in the illusions that tell you otherwise. These illusions are powerful because they've been reinforced by everyone around you who is also caught in them. Our entire society is built on the premise that we're lacking something and that we need to acquire, achieve, or become something in order to be happy. But this is just a collective dream, a mass hypnosis that keeps us searching outside ourselves for what can only be found within. When you wake up from this dream, when you see through these illusions, you don't become different, you simply become who you've always been underneath all the conditioning. You become natural, authentic, at ease with yourself and the world. And here's something beautiful that happens when you let go. You stop trying to change other people. You realize that everyone is on their own path, having their own experiences, learning their own lessons in their own time. You stop taking other people's behavior personally because you understand that it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their own internal state. This doesn't mean you become a doormat or that you accept abuse. It means you respond to difficult people and situations from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. You set healthy boundaries not because you're angry or hurt, but because it's the loving thing to do for both yourself and others. When someone is rude to you, instead of immediately getting defensive, you can pause and recognize that their rudeness is coming from their own pain or fear or conditioning. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you not take it personally. You can respond with compassion while still protecting yourself from their negativity. When someone doesn't meet your expectations, instead of getting angry or disappointed, you can remember that they are not here to live according to your agenda. They have their own life to live, their own lessons to learn, their own growth to experience. You can love them without needing them to be different. When someone leaves your life, instead of clinging to them or trying to force them to stay, you can bless them and release them with love. You can be grateful for the time you had together without making their departure mean anything about your worth or their love for you. This is what unconditional love looks like in practice. It's not about being a pushover or accepting everything that happens to you. It's about loving people as they are, not as you think they should be. It's about accepting what is, not because you like it, but because resistance to what is only causes suffering. And when you love unconditionally, when you love without trying to control or change or possess, something magical happens. People feel safe around you. They feel free to be themselves. And paradoxically, this often brings out the best in them. Not because you're trying to change them, but because you're not. Same thing happens with your relationship to yourself. When you stop trying to fix yourself or improve yourself or make yourself into someone else, when you start accepting and loving yourself as you are right now, you naturally begin to express your highest potential. Not because you're forcing it, but because you're allowing it. It's like a flower that's been growing in a dark basement, suddenly being moved into the sunlight. The flower doesn't have to try to bloom. Blooming is its nature. It just needs the right conditions. And self-acceptance, self-love, self-compassion, these are the right conditions for your own natural flowering. But we've been taught the opposite. We've been taught that we need to be hard on ourselves, that we need to criticize ourselves, that we need to push ourselves, that we need to earn love and acceptance through achievement and perfection. This is like trying to make a flower bloom by yelling at it or by keeping it in the dark. The truth is, you are already perfect as you are. Not perfect in the sense that you can't grow or change or learn, but perfect in the sense that you are exactly where you need to be in your own development. You are exactly where you need to be to learn what you need to learn, to experience what you need to experience, to become who you're becoming. Even your mistakes, even your failures, even your darkest moments, they're all part of your perfect path. They're not accidents or punishments or signs that something is wrong with you. They're experiences that are helping you grow, teaching you compassion, showing you what doesn't work so you can find what does. When you understand this, you stop judging your life and start appreciating it. You stop wishing you were somewhere else and start being present where you are. You stop waiting for life to begin and start living the life that's already here. And this is where true freedom lies, not in getting what you want, but in wanting what you have. Not in changing your circumstances, but in changing your relationship to your circumstances. Not in controlling life, but in dancing with life. Because life is not something that happens to you. Life is something that happens through you. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are a creative force that shapes your reality through your thoughts, your beliefs, your choices, your responses. When you let go of the illusion that you're powerless, you discover the truth of your power. When you let go of the illusion that you're separate, you discover the truth of your connection to everything. When you let go of the illusion that you're lacking, you discover the truth of your completeness. This is the freedom of letting go. It's not about giving up or becoming passive. It's about giving up the struggle against reality and becoming active participants in the flow of life. It's about releasing the tight grip of control and opening your hands to receive whatever gifts life wants to give you. And life wants to give you so much. Life wants to give you love, joy, peace, creativity, growth, connection, meaning, purpose, beauty, wonder. But it can't give you these gifts when your hands are clenched in fists, trying to hold on to what you think you need or fighting against what you think you don't want. Open your hands, open your heart, open your mind. Let go of what no longer serves you. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be. Let go of what you think life is supposed to look like. And in that letting go, you'll find something far more beautiful than anything you could have imagined or controlled. You'll find yourself, the real you, the you that exists beyond all the stories and roles and identities you've been carrying around, the you that is pure awareness, pure love, pure potential. The you that has always been free, even when you believed you were trapped. This you doesn't need to be fixed, or improved, or completed. This you is already whole, already perfect, already free. This you has been waiting patiently for you to stop looking elsewhere and come home to yourself. So come home. Stop the searching. Stop the striving. Stop the struggling. Come home to the peace that is your true nature. Come home to the love that is your essence. Come home to the freedom that is your birthright. The door has always been open. You've just been looking for keys that you never needed. The prison has always been unlocked. You've just been believing in bars that were never really there. Walk out now. Walk into the freedom of letting go. Walk into the life that's been waiting for you all along. Walk into who you really are, beyond all illusions, beyond all limitations, beyond all fears. You are free. You have always been free. Now it's time to live like you know it. Right now, as you hear these words, something inside you recognizes their truth. That recognition isn't coming from your mind. Your mind might be arguing, making lists of all the reasons why you're not free, why you can't let go, why your situation is different. That recognition is coming from a place much deeper than thought, much wiser than your conditioned responses, much more real than your learned fears. That place is your authentic self. It's the part of you that existed before you learned to doubt yourself, before you adopted other people's beliefs about what's possible for you, before you started measuring your worth by external standards. It's the part of you that knows, without question, that you are infinitely more than the small story you've been telling yourself about who you are. Most people live their entire lives without ever meeting this authentic self. They get so caught up in playing roles, the good employee, the perfect parent, the successful person, the victim, the rebel, the helper, that they forget these are just roles, not reality. They think they are the role instead of recognizing that they're simply playing it for a while. But you can't be a role because roles are temporary and you are eternal. You can't be a story because stories have beginnings and endings, and your essence is timeless. You can't be a problem because problems are situations to be solved and you are the solver, not the situation. When you stop identifying with the temporary roles and stories and problems, when you stop pretending to be smaller than you are, something extraordinary happens. You start living from your essence instead of from your conditioning. You start making choices based on love instead of fear, on truth instead of habit, on possibility instead of past limitation. This shift changes everything, but it changes it so naturally that you might not even notice at first. It's like the difference between swimming upstream against a powerful current and suddenly turning around and swimming with it. The effort disappears, but the movement becomes graceful and effortless. You're still swimming, but now you're working with life instead of against it. People will notice the change in you before you do. They'll comment that you seem more relaxed, more confident, more at peace. They might not be able to put their finger on what's different, but they'll feel it. That's because when you stop fighting with yourself internally, you stop radiating that internal conflict outward. You become like a calm lake instead of a stormy ocean. The lake reflects everything clearly, the sky, the trees, the clouds, the birds, without being disturbed by what it's reflecting. The stormy ocean is so agitated that it can't reflect anything clearly and everything appears distorted in its turbulent waters. When your inner world becomes calm, like the lake, your outer world starts to reflect that calmness. Not because you're trying to make it happen, but because calmness is your natural state when you're not being stirred up by resistance to what is. This doesn't mean you become emotionally flat or that you stop caring about things. It means you stop being at war with your emotions. You let them flow through you like weather systems moving through the sky, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy, but always temporary, always changing, always ultimately passing. You start to see emotions as messengers instead of masters. When anger arises, instead of being consumed by it or suppressing it, you listen to what it's trying to tell you. Maybe it's showing you where a boundary needs to be set. Maybe it's revealing a value that's being violated. Maybe it's just old pain that needs to be felt and released. When sadness comes, instead of trying to cheer yourself up or drowning in it, you give it space to be there. You understand that sadness often carries gifts. It opens your heart to compassion. It helps you appreciate joy when it returns. It connects you to the full range of human experience. When fear shows up, instead of running from it or being paralyzed by it, you get curious about it. What is it trying to protect you from? Is the danger real or imaginary? Is the fear based on past experience or a future projection? Usually you'll find that fear is like a smoke alarm going off when you're just cooking dinner. It's doing its job, but there's no actual fire. This compassionate relationship with your emotions extends to your thoughts as well. Instead of believing every thought that pops into your head, you start to see thoughts as suggestions, not commands. Your mind is like an employee who's trying to be helpful, but sometimes gets carried away. You appreciate its efforts without feeling obligated to follow every recommendation it makes. Some thoughts are useful. They help you solve problems, plan for the future, learn from the past. Others are just mental noise, repetitive worries, harsh self-criticism, imaginary conversations with people who aren't there. You don't need to eliminate the noise, you just need to stop paying attention to it. It's like being in a restaurant where there's background music playing. You don't hate the music or try to make it stop, but you don't let it distract you from your conversation. You simply tune it out and focus on what's important in the moment. When you develop this kind of relationship with your inner world, your outer world becomes much more manageable. Challenges that used to overwhelm you become interesting puzzles to solve. People who used to trigger you become teachers, showing you where you still have work to do. Situations that used to make you feel powerless become opportunities to practice responding instead of reacting. This is where real power lies, not in controlling what happens to you, but in choosing how you respond to what happens to you. External circumstances will always be beyond your complete control. Other people will always have their own agendas. Life will always involve unexpected changes, losses, challenges, and surprises. But your response is always yours to choose. Between any stimulus and your response, there's a space. In that space lies your freedom, your power, your ability to create your experience of life, regardless of what life presents to you. Most people react so quickly that they don't even notice this space exists. Something happens and immediately they're angry, afraid, hurt, defensive, or aggressive. They go from 0 to 100 in a split second without any conscious choice in the process. But when you slow down, when you create just a moment of pause between what happens and how you respond, that moment becomes a doorway to a completely different way of living. In that moment, you can ask yourself, how do I want to respond to this? What response would serve me and others best? What response aligns with who I really am? Sometimes the answer will be to take action, to speak up, to set a boundary, to solve a problem, to help someone, to change course. Sometimes the answer will be to do nothing external, but to shift something internal, to choose understanding over judgment, peace over conflict, love over fear. Either way, you're responding consciously instead of reacting unconsciously. You're living as the author of your experience instead of as a character being pushed around by circumstances. This conscious responding extends to how you relate to your past and future as well. Most people are either haunted by their past or anxious about their future. They carry yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's worries into today, contaminating the present moment with pain that doesn't actually exist right now. But the past is gone. It exists only in memory, and memory is just thoughts about what used to be. The future hasn't happened yet. It exists only in imagination, and imagination is just thoughts about what might be. The only reality is right now, this moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this present experience. When you fully arrive in the present moment, when you stop living in the story of your past or the fantasy of your future, you find that most of your problems disappear. Not because they've been solved, but because they only existed in your thinking about other times and places. Right now, in this moment, are you okay? Right now, in this breath, is there enough air? Right now, in this heartbeat, is your heart working? Right now, in this instant, do you have what you need to be alive and aware? Usually the answer is yes. Usually right now is okay. It's only when you add the story of the past or the worry about the future that the present moment becomes contaminated with suffering. This doesn't mean you ignore the past or fail to plan for the future. It means you handle the past and future from the present moment, not from a place of being lost in time. You learn from the past without living in it. You prepare for the future without being consumed by it. You use time instead of being used by time. You have a relationship with your history without being imprisoned by it. You set goals and make plans without making your happiness dependent on specific outcomes. This is the ultimate freedom, to be fully present in each moment while being completely at peace with the flow of time. To be engaged with life while being unattached to any particular form that life might take. To care deeply about everything while clinging to nothing. When you live this way, life becomes an adventure instead of a struggle. Each day brings new opportunities to practice presence, to choose love, to respond consciously, to let go of what doesn't serve you, to appreciate what's already here. You stop waiting for life to be perfect before you allow yourself to be happy. You stop postponing joy until all your problems are solved. You stop making your peace conditional on everything going according to your plans. Instead, you find reasons to be grateful right now. You find beauty in imperfect situations. You find lessons in difficult experiences. You find love in unexpected places. You find yourself everywhere you look because you've stopped looking for yourself outside yourself. This is what it means to live beyond illusions, not to live in denial of reality, but to see through the illusions that make reality appear more solid, more permanent, more personal than it actually is. To recognize that your thoughts about reality are not reality itself. To understand that your emotional reactions to events are not the events themselves. When you see clearly, you realize that most of what you've been struggling with exists only in your interpretation of what's happening, not in what's actually happening. The event is neutral. Your meaning making about the event is what creates your experience of it. Two people can have the exact same thing happen to them and have completely different experiences based on the stories they tell themselves about what it means. One person loses their job and falls into despair, seeing it as evidence of their failure and unworthiness. Another person loses their job and feels excited, seeing it as an opportunity for a new beginning and a chance to find work they're more passionate about. Same event, different stories, completely different experiences. This is the power of meaning making. And it's a power you have in every situation. You get to choose what story you tell yourself about what happens to you. You can choose stories that empower you or stories that victimize you. You can choose stories that open possibilities or stories that close them down. You can choose stories that connect you to others or stories that isolate you. You can choose stories that inspire you to grow or stories that justify staying stuck. The events of your life are like a movie script without interpretation. The script just says what happened. Person A said this, person B did that, this occurred, that resulted. It's completely neutral. All the meaning, all the emotion, all the significance comes from the interpretation you add to the bare facts. When you realize this, you become the conscious author of your life story instead of the unconscious victim of your circumstances. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what story do I want to tell about what happened? You stop asking, what does this mean? And start asking, what meaning do I want to create? This is not about positive thinking or denial. It's about recognizing your power to choose your experience through the stories you tell yourself. It's about taking responsibility for your interpretation of events, which is the only part you can actually control. And when you take full responsibility for your experience, something miraculous happens. You become truly free. Free to be happy, regardless of circumstances. Free to be at peace, regardless of external conditions. Free to love, regardless of how others treat you. Free to be yourself, regardless of what others think of you. This freedom is your birthright. It's not something you have to earn or achieve or deserve. It's something you already have that you simply need to remember and reclaim. It's not something outside you that you need to find. It's something inside you that you need to stop covering up with fears and doubts and limiting beliefs. You are already free. You have always been free. The only question is whether you're going to live like you know it or continue to live like you're trapped by illusions that have no real power over you. The choice is yours, and it's always available. Every moment offers you a fresh opportunity to remember who you really are and to live from that truth. Every breath is a chance to let go of what doesn't serve you and to embrace what does. You don't need permission from anyone else to be free. You don't need perfect circumstances or the approval of others or the resolution of all your problems. You just need to stop believing in the stories that tell you you're not free and start living from the truth of your essential nature. That truth is love. That truth is peace. That truth is freedom. That truth is you.